What if I told you that the moment you stopped chasing was the moment everything started to shift? She expected you to fall apart, to beg, to plead, to prove that you couldn't live without her. That's the script most men follow, and she was counting on it. But instead you did something powerful. You walked away not in weakness but in strength, not to manipulate but to reclaim your center. And that decision? It didn't just surprise her, it shook her. This isn't just about heartbreak. This is about rebirth, about using the pain not as a prison but as fuel. Because the truth is, pain isn't weakness. Pain is your proving ground. Right now you stand at a crossroads. Break down and chase what's lost, or rise and become someone she never expected. Someone unshakable. If you're ready to choose growth over desperation, power over pleading, hit that like button, subscribe, turn on notifications, and comment below. I control my emotions, not the outcome. Let's begin. Number 1. The unspoken power that turns the tide. Right now she expects your world to collapse. That's the unspoken script, the silent expectation when she pulls away. She imagines you overthinking, pacing, checking your phone, crafting messages you won't send, or worse, those you will. She expects you to panic, to reach out, to validate her worth by unraveling in her absence. But when you respond with nothing, give her silence instead of chaos, presence instead of panic, you flip the entire dynamic on its head. Your lack of reaction becomes the most powerful reaction. This silence isn't apathy, it's control. It's not bitterness, it's restraint. And in that restraint, you reveal something she didn't anticipate. You have standards. You have dignity. You are not a puppet to be pulled by emotional strings. By choosing not to engage, not to plead, not to beg for her attention, you create psychological uncertainty. She's no longer sure where she stands with you. That's powerful, because uncertainty is obsession's seed in the realm of dark psychology. She begins to feel that something is off. Why hasn't he messaged? Why is he so quiet? Her sense of control slips. Her certainty starts to erode. She expected validation and found indifference. And this isn't the kind of silence screaming to be noticed. This is the stoic kind. The calm, grounded stillness of a man who doesn't just know his worth, but guards it with silence. The Stoics taught that what's outside our control must not disturb our peace. Her decisions, actions, and distance are not yours to control, but how you respond, what you choose to do with your attention, your energy, and your presence, that's all you. And that is where the power lives. Every time you resist the urge to reach out, you reclaim a piece of your mental sovereignty. You tell the world, and yourself, that your dignity matters more than any fleeting approval. That your sense of self is not up for negotiation just because someone walked away. And the deeper truth? That silence of yours, grounded in restraint and rooted in purpose, becomes her mirror. It reflects her actions at her with a haunting clarity. You didn't break me. You revealed me. You no longer need to prove anything. You no longer need to chase what walked away. Because your lack of reaction speaks louder than any speech, and it says, I am not defined by your departure. Now, speak out and comment below. I control my mind. No one else does. Number 2. Refusing to play her game means you've already won. She wanted to set the rules, pull away just enough to keep your attention, offer breadcrumbs of affection to keep you hoping, and confuse consistency with unpredictability. This is the game. Push and pull, create emotional highs and lows, and keep you orbiting her world without ever giving you solid ground. It's not always malicious, often it's unconscious, but the effect is the same. You end up chasing validation that was always designed to stay just out of reach. But what happens when you stop playing, when you see the game for what it is and quietly step out of it? When you no longer respond to her tactics with emotion, but with silence, focus, and detachment? That's when everything changes. The game only works if you react. When you don't, you're no longer a pawn in her emotional strategy, you become the one holding the board. You walk away, not in anger, not in bitterness, but with calm clarity. She set the trap. expecting your emotional investment to deepen. But when she turns around and sees you simply vanish from the arena, no drama, closure, or resistance, she loses control over the outcome. She didn't just lose your attention, she lost her grip. This is where Stoic philosophy becomes your anchor. The Stoics never taught us to suppress emotion, they taught us to channel it. To understand that inner peace is not just a desire, but a discipline. And when you apply that discipline to romantic detachment, you become a truly free man. Free from the approval of others, free from emotional manipulation, free from the emotional volatility that weakens most men when love is withdrawn. You become someone who dictates the terms of his own emotional reality. And from her side, that kind of restraint is terrifying, because most people don't expect you actually to walk away, not truly. They expect you to flinch, to break, to peek back. You introduce an emotional ambiguity she can't resolve when you don't. Is he over me? Does he still care? Did he ever? She expected you to stay locked in her frame, but now you've rebuilt your own. Your identity is no longer defined by proximity to her. Your worth is no longer tied to her recognition. You don't play to win her attention, you live to fulfill your purpose. That shift in mindset doesn't just end the game, it ends her ability to start it again. And now, with each passing day that you remain still, focused, and emotionally sovereign, you radiate the one thing that no manipulation can manufacture: authentic power. Now, speak out and comment below. I set my own rules. I no longer play theirs. Number 3. When you withdraw attention, she feels the void. Attention is currency, it's energy, it's value. And most men don't realize just how much they're giving away until they're empty. You spent weeks, months, maybe years pouring your time, thoughts, and emotions into her. Likes, comments, texts, check-ins, support, validation. Your attention surrounded her, so immersed in it that she forgot it was optional. She mistook it for something guaranteed, and the moment she decided to walk away, she assumed your attention would follow her like a shadow. But it did. Instead of chasing, you stepped back. Instead of seeking, you vanished. You pulled your energy inward, not as a strategy to get her back, but as a commitment to yourself. You began withdrawing attention, not to punish her but to protect yourself. And in doing so, you did something most men never do: create scarcity. Scarcity creates value. Scarcity shifts perception. She notices it quickly: the silence, the lack of validation, the missing gaze, the absence of you in her notifications. And for the first time in a long time, she feels a void. It's not just about missing the attention. It's about missing what that attention confirmed: her importance in your world. When that disappears, she's left with an uncomfortable question. Did I matter? Was I wrong? This shift only works because it's real. You're not pretending to ignore her while obsessively tracking her posts. You're not staging silence to bait her. You've genuinely turned inward, dedicating your attention to things that give you energy: your body, your work, your purpose. You're no longer broadcasting your worth, you're building it. The Stoics taught that our attention must be guarded. It is a limited resource. What you give your attention to, you give your life to. And giving your attention to someone who doesn't value it is one of the greatest betrayals of the self. When you reclaim your attention, you reclaim your freedom. You stop operating from need and start living from choice. And that's what she feels now. Not punishment, but absence. Not silence as a tactic, but the quiet withdrawal of something meaningful. That gap becomes her burden, not yours. You no longer give pieces of yourself away, hoping she'll notice. Instead, you build, grow, and evolve, privately, intentionally, and without needing applause. And eventually, she may try to reach back out, not for love, but for that feeling she lost when your gaze turned away. But by then, you won't just be distant, you'll be different. Too far ahead, too self-contained, too focused to even consider looking back. Now, speak out and comment below. I protect my attention. It belongs to my growth. Number 4, rebuilding in silence turns you into a storm. Most men fall apart publicly when a woman walks away. They seek validation from friends, family, or even strangers. They post cryptic quotes on social media, hoping she'll see. They go out of their way to show they're okay, all while hiding the chaos within. But what if you didn't do that? What if, instead of broadcasting your pain, you went completely silent and started rebuilding in the shadows? You don't need anyone to witness your comeback. You don't need to prove you're strong by performing it. You just get to work. You rise early, you sweat harder, and you sharpen your mind. You pursue excellence not as a reaction, but as a purpose. No posts, no updates, just progress. This is what Stoicism preaches. The external world is noise. You don't control it, and it doesn't define you. How you live internally matters, how you respond to pain, rejection, and loss. You don't perform for applause. You don't seek her attention through evolution. You evolve because you owe it to yourself. That kind of growth doesn't need an audience. It doesn't need permission. It needs silence. And in that silence, something profound happens. She starts to feel it. Not immediately. At first, she thinks you're just sulking, maybe trying to play games. But then the silence stretches. You don't post. You don't check in. You don't flinch. And what's more, she hears from others that you've been improving, working, lifting, reading, building, and you're doing it without a word. That's when doubt creeps in, because nothing stings like realizing someone is doing better and they didn't need you to get there. She starts to compare the man you were when she left versus the man she's hearing about now. And that contrast, that's your power. That's the storm you've been quietly becoming. But the goal isn't to make her regret. That's just a side effect. The real victory is that you no longer care who notices. You've rebuilt so thoroughly that her recognition is meaningless. You've become a force not through noise, but through absence, bitterness, and rebirth. So keep moving, keep growing, keep rising in silence, because the man who trains in the dark becomes unstoppable in the light. Now, speak out and comment below. I rebuild in silence. My strength needs no witness. Number 5, transforming pain into personal power. Right now, the pain might still be lingering. That dull ache in your chest when her name crosses your mind. The moments of silence that used to be filled with her voice. You don't hide from it. You feel it. But you've started doing something different. Instead of letting it break you, you've started turning pain into power. Most men try to escape heartbreak. They numb it with distractions, with rebounds, with denial. But you, guided by Stoic principle, choose to confront it. You sit with it. You let it teach you. Because pain, when handled with wisdom, is not destruction, it's instruction. It shows you where you were too soft, giving, and attached. It highlights the cracks in your foundation, but more importantly, it becomes the fire that forges a new man. Think of your emotions like raw energy. When left unmanaged, that energy becomes chaos. But when you channel it into your workouts, work, and focus, it becomes fuel. Every drop of heartbreak becomes a rep at the gym. Every memory becomes a reason to stay disciplined. Every unanswered message becomes motivation to level up. That's emotional alchemy, not just surviving pain, but using it as the catalyst for transformation. Stoicism doesn't tell you to suppress your feelings, it tells you to master them. It is important to control your inner state no matter the external storm. She left? That's not something to be resented, it's something to be reframed. She freed you. She revealed a weakness in your armor that you now have the opportunity to fortify. And the best part? You're not doing it for her. You're not doing it to prove anything. You're doing it because you are committed to becoming the strongest version of yourself, no matter who stays or leaves. And while you're transforming in silence, she may feel that shift. She might see the difference in your presence, or lack thereof. She might sense that the man she thought she knew has changed into someone sharper, calmer, more focused. But by the time she realizes it, it's already too late. You've taken the pain and turned it into purpose. You've stopped being left behind, and started being someone who doesn't look back. That's real power. That's Stoic victory, and it starts the moment you choose not to numb your pain, but to own it and weaponize it for growth. Now, speak out and comment below. This pain is my power. It sharpens me. Number 6. Holding the frame when you refuse to break. She will test your emotions. Sometimes it's intentional, sometimes it's instinct, but make no mistake. She's testing the frame when she pulls away and leaves you in silence, when she posts the photos meant to sting you. Testing whether you are a man who bends under pressure or stands unmoved. And your job? Hold the frame. The frame is your mental boundary, your emotional blueprint. It's the internal state you refuse to compromise, no matter what happens externally. She may come and go, she may praise you or ignore you, she might try to make you jealous or worse, indifferent. But if you are truly grounded, none of it shakes you. You see through the emotional haze and remain centered on your purpose. That's when she starts to notice something different about you. Something unsettling to her, but liberating for you. You're not arguing, you're not explaining, you're not reacting, you're observing, responding only when necessary, and even then, with poise and purpose. That level of self-command isn't just powerful, it's rare. Because most men fold under pressure, they react emotionally, they give up the frame. And when they do, they surrender their power, but not you. You are a Stoic. You lead yourself first before expecting anyone to follow you. The Stoics taught that the only true power we possess is over our own minds, and in romantic dynamics this truth becomes a weapon of calm dominance. When you don't break character and stay in the mindset of confidence, discipline, and emotional restraint, you create something deeply magnetic. She might not even understand it consciously, but she feels it. Why isn't he shaken? Why doesn't he need me to validate him? Has he changed? Or was he always this strong and I just didn't see it? And the answer is this: you didn't change for her, you returned to yourself. That's the power of holding a frame. It's not about manipulation, it's not about ego. It's about remembering who you are when the world tries to make you forget. It's about keeping your center when others lose theirs. And here's the truth. Once you master your frame, you're not just unshakable, you become unforgettable. Because very few men can resist the urge to react. Very few men can remain still in the storm, but you've learned the art. You've practiced the stillness, and now you live it. Now, speak out and comment below. I hold my frame, my mind is my fortress. Number 7. When you're unavailable, you become unforgettable. In the past, you were always there. A quick reply, a like on her post, a glance that said, "I still care." You didn't even realize it, but you made yourself too accessible, too predictable, and in doing so you became emotionally inexpensive. People don't value what they can always reach, they value what they fear losing, and more importantly, what they can't quite figure out. That's where the true shift begins, when you make yourself unavailable, not out of spite, but out of strength. She expects you to stay within reach. She expects that she can tap back into your attention even if she pulls away. But when you stop replying instantly, or at all, when you stop watching her stories, when your presence disappears from her daily life, something powerful happens. She starts to feel the absence, and that absence begins to echo louder than your presence ever did. You're not doing it to play games. You're not timing responses or staging your silence for effect. You're genuinely unavailable, not because you're trying to punish her, but because you're actually busy. Busy building, busy improving, busy focusing on a life that doesn't orbit her anymore. Your silence is no longer just space, it's signal. A signal that you're no longer emotionally accessible, and that, more than anything, flips the dynamic. And the Stoics teach us to remove ourselves from what we cannot control. That includes how she feels, whether she misses you or sees your worth. Those are not your responsibilities. Your job is to build yourself so that you can't even be constantly available to someone who lets you go. Your absence is not passive. It's a reflection of your elevation. And as you rise, she starts to notice the void. The attention she used to receive is gone. The energy she felt from you has disappeared. And because nature abhors a vacuum, her mind rushes to fill the silence with questions. Has he moved on? Why doesn't he respond? Is he seeing someone else? Did I make a mistake? This mental dissonance isn't created by cruelty but by discipline. You've become the man who isn't reachable on demand, who isn't swayed by emotion, who doesn't perform heartbreak for attention. And that man? He doesn't just move on, he evolves into someone who becomes unforgettable, not because of effort, but because of absence. Now, speak out and comment below. I'm not missing, I'm unavailable, and I've moved forward. Number 8. Leveling up quietly turns you into a myth. The most powerful transformation isn't loud. It doesn't need applause, validation, or recognition. It happens in the shadows, where nobody's watching, no one expects it, where the world has written you off or forgotten your name. That's where you become someone else. And by the time they realize it, it's too late. You've already become untouchable. She expected you to sulk, show signs of struggle, and prove you're okay. That's what most men do. They post selfies in the gym, brag about being unbothered, and flaunt new connections, just to trigger a reaction. But you didn't follow that path. You went dark. You vanished, and not because you were broken, but because you were building. You chose transformation over attention. While she looked for signs that you still cared, you developed a new level of strength. Quietly, relentlessly, you focused on your health, your habits, and your purpose. You started rising in a way that needed no external commentary, no validation, and that's what makes it terrifying for her. Because she can't track your progress, she doesn't know how far you've gone, and that uncertainty, it becomes haunting. People talk. They mention your name in passing. He's been doing well, he's looking better, he's got a new project. And suddenly she realizes she's no longer sure who you are anymore. You're no longer the man she left. You're a moving target, a mystery, a standard she now questions whether she can even meet again. And all of this you built without saying a word. Stoicism isn't just about emotional control, but about living purposefully. It's about acting without the need for an audience. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his journal not to be famous, but to remind himself who he needed to become. That's what you've done. You're writing your growth in sweat, time, and solitude. And by the time she notices, you've already detached. You don't need her to see you anymore. You've outgrown the need to be seen. And that's when you become unforgettable. Not because you begged for attention, but because you disappeared and re-emerged as something she never saw coming. You became a man she can no longer read, predict, or possess. You became a myth, a question mark, a symbol of power rebuilt in silence. Now, speak out and comment below. I level up in silence. No one needs to see it but me. Number 9. When she reaches out, you don't reach back the same. There may come a moment when her silence breaks. After all the space, all the uncertainty, and nights of scrolling through your name without seeing your presence, she finally sends that message. It might be subtle. Hey, how are you? Or, I just thought of you today. Don't mistake it for closure. Don't mistake it for reconciliation. That message is not love. It's curiosity. It's a probe. A test to see if you're still emotionally available. But here's the thing, you're not that man anymore. She's reaching out not because she knows your worth, but because your silence made her question hers. When you didn't chase, didn't react, didn't try to win her back, the frame shifted. What was once certain became ambiguous. That uncertainty gnaws at her, and reaching out is her way of reclaiming emotional control. But the difference now is, you don't hand it back. You don't greet her with open arms. You don't flood her with questions or confessions. You respond, if you respond at all, with poise, with brevity, with a tone that says, "I'm at peace." This isn't coldness, it's clarity. It's stoicism in motion, responding with measured intent, not reactive emotion. You're no longer trying to reopen a door she chose to close. You've walked through a better one. The Stoics taught that we must master our impulses, that our peace is not to be bargained. So when she returns, you treat it for what it is, a test of your growth, not an invitation to regress. You don't need revenge. You don't need to prove anything. She will feel the shift in your tone, energy, and distance. She will feel that she no longer owns emotional equity in your life. And that's what hits hardest. If you still hope for that message, you haven't let go yet. But when that message comes, and it feels irrelevant, that's when you know you've truly evolved. Because by then, your life has become so full, your vision so clear, that her return doesn't change anything. It doesn't add value, it doesn't tempt, it simply arrives and fades. And she will notice it, that you're not trying to revive anything, that you're not hinting at reconciliation, that you've grown so far past her that she's no longer part of your mental architecture. She might feel regret, she might even try harder, but none of that matters to you now, because you've become a man who doesn't look back. Now, speak out and comment below. If she returns, I remain unmoved. I've already moved on. Number 10. She thought you'd wait, now she's the one waiting. She believed you'd be there, always, that even if she walked away, even if she distanced herself or played games, you'd stay emotionally tethered. Maybe you once were, maybe for a while she was right, but not anymore. Something changed. Not in her, but in you. You didn't just stop waiting, you stopped needing. And that's the moment the story flipped. That's when the chaser became the challenge. That's when she lost something far greater than your attention. She lost your access. She expected to return whenever she wanted, to pick up the conversation where she left it, feel that familiar pull of your energy, care, and longing. But what she finds instead is silence, indifference, space she can't penetrate, because while she was enjoying the illusion of control, you were evolving in silence. While she was holding out to see if you'd reach back, you were reaching forward into new habits, growth, and self-respect. And now, for the first time, she's waiting for your attention, waiting for signs that you still care, waiting for the version of you she used to know. But that version is gone. You've outgrown the part of you that clung to her approval, the version that chased, the one that needed closure. Now, you walk with purpose. And your silence doesn't say "I'm hurt," it says "I've healed." This isn't revenge. This isn't punishment. This is transformation. The Stoics taught that we are not here to chase comfort or external validation. We're here to embody virtue, discipline, and strength. And nothing demonstrates that more clearly than when you keep walking, even when the past comes calling, even when she tries to re-enter the door she once walks out of it. You see, her true regret doesn't come from seeing you angry. It comes from realizing you don't look back. Your life has become so full, purposeful, and independent of her that she can't even find her reflection in your world anymore. She becomes the one lingering, questioning, wondering what happened. And what happened was simple. You stopped orbiting her and became your own center. She thought she'd always be the one with the power. But now she's stuck in the silence you once sat in, waiting, wondering, missing. And you? You're not even watching. You're too focused on becoming the man who no longer needs to be remembered because he's too busy building a life no one else could ever forget. Now speak out and comment below. She waits now, I've already moved beyond reach. You started out thinking you had to fight for her attention. But walking away wasn't the end. It was the beginning of your return to self. She thought you were weak without her, But what she didn't see was the storm you were becoming. Your strength was never tied to her presence. It was always in your ability to rise, especially when no one believed you would. If you're ready to keep evolving, like this video, subscribe and comment below. I am unstoppable. Stand tall. Keep walking. You're not just proving her wrong, you're proving yourself right.